Thank you. Good morning. Firstly, I'd like to thank Matthew Sinclair of the Taxpayers Alliance for inviting this panel here today to talk about this very important issue. As the Countryside Alliance is a campaigning organisation that focuses on rural issues, I have no doubt that the government will label our opposition to this Groundwise rail project as NIMBYism, based on our concern and the concern of the rural community that this project will affect unduly those living on the proposed route. The Countryside Alliance will not shy away from representing and campaigning with rural people affected by the route, but we are also campaigning because the so-called national benefits of HS2, the national benefits that the government say are reason enough for the people along the route to support the project, are wildly exaggerated. Similarly, the costs are underestimated. The HS2 project is hugely expensive and requires extensive work building new railway lines for which the government has failed to make a sound business case. Put simply, the proposed HS2 rail link will not deliver the benefits claimed by supporters and is not the best use of £35 billion of public funds, especially in the current financial climate where resources are scarce. Every single component of the government's economic case for HS2 can be called into serious question, as we've already heard, and with this broad group of people brought together on this panel today, we will cover all of these points, I'm sure. However, I would like to deal with the issues that the Countryside Alliance are particularly concerned with: the potential environmental impact and the proposed environmental benefits of HS2. These two things are far from impressive. Bearing in mind the cost of the project, it should offer more environmental benefits and have a positive environmental impact. HS2 Limited has pointed out the project is at best carbon neutral and will not lead to any significant reduction in emissions. The efficiency and performance of HS2 is underpinned by the speed of the service, the quantity of passengers and the demand of the service. Most passengers on HS2 will either be transferred from existing rail services or additional journeys. Research shows that transport demand is no longer growing with GDP. Any transferred or new journeys will be on high-speed trains that will use more than twice as much power as conventional electric intercity trains, and perhaps 4 times as much running at 400 kilometres an hour. And unlike French TGVs, will not start running on nuclear power. The government believes that HS2 will allow for increasing capacity on the rail network, and Transport Secretary Philip Hammond comments on the main consultation paper that high-speed rail will provide a huge increase in capacity for long-distance passengers between major cities. And he has identified this as the major challenge facing today's railways. But detailed analysis by the Taxpayers Alliance illustrated that HS2 will actually provide less capacity than is currently available on the existing network, and that while some urban centres will eventually get faster services, albeit with less capacity, many towns will be worse off. If the government wants to achieve their ambition to be the greenest government ever, they should be working out how to make existing roads more environmentally friendly, effective and attractive to passengers. There will also be an environmental impact from the construction work of HS2. The proposed route from London to Birmingham, which is currently under consultation, will slice through the Chilterns, an area of outstanding natural beauty, and national designation intended to protect some of England's finest landscapes. The countryside, important wildlife habitats and biodiversity must be a factor in any major project. And we believe that it is in the national interest for these to be protected if a sound business case cannot be made. Despite what the government suggests, the Chilterns is not just a playground for the people who live there, it is a working, thriving environment for everyone to enjoy. And HS2 will tear up some of England's finest countryside, which will be detrimental to the whole nation. Buckinghamshire County Council has undertaken a baseline environment audit of potential environmental, landscape and land use impacts of the preferred HS2 route. Their research found that including a 1 kilometre buffer zone, the preferred route will impact 4,570 hectares of designated greenbelt, 22 hectares of common land, 34 hectares of open access land, and in the Chilterns alone, 22 public rights of way will be lost. The route will affect 270 hectares of sites of special scientific interest. It will affect 30 hectares of local nature reserves and 60 different types of protected species. Their impact assessment also found that 474 hectares of ancient woodland will be affected by the preferred route. Indeed, it seems HS2 places public woodland in greater danger of destruction than any transfer of ownership from the Forestry Commission. These impacts cannot be monetised and have yet to be seriously addressed by the government. Those people who are putting these arguments forward are not being given a fair hearing. The proposed high-speed line will be a benefit to some people living in urban areas, but will not be a benefit to people living in rural areas, living along the proposed route, experiencing the catastrophic effect that this will have on their landscape. Existing lines which do serve these communities, the Great Western Main Line and the Chiltern Line, are likely to be significantly disrupted while HS2 is constructed. Furthermore, the cost associated with HS2 means improvements made to existing lines and additional rolling stock is likely to be neglected. I would argue passionately that if this expensive rail project is to go ahead, it needs to serve everyone, not the few, to be truly in the national interest.
Thank you very much.